Hi. My memories, I suppose, from the time from the build up to the match, wouldn't be too good because we didn't have a lot of time. Around then, we were playing league games. We had, I think, 4 or 5 European games before we went to Belgrade. So I mean, you were just mixing matching league games and European games in there, so there wasn't a huge amount of time to think about it all. I know when we going to Belgrade, we went on a Tuesday. Game was on a Thursday, I think. So we had 2 nights there, 2 training sessions beforehand. The night before the match always stands out because it was a very intense training session. I don't really think there was any different reason for it, but I think everyone knew that they were in with a chance of playing or being on the bench, certainly. I know Michael had great trust in everyone, so I mean, from the 20 lads or so that we had, I think we all knew that someone else could slot into your position and do a good job. I know Michael thought that, so that's probably a reason for it. I think the heat probably played a part as well because it was incredibly hot. I mean, the 3 or 4 days that we had there overall were just incredibly hot. There's no other way to say it. It was something I haven't experienced in football before or since. So that probably played a part. Then I suppose the day of the game, I think it was quite a late kick-off. We got to the stadium, whatever, the usual 2 hours before. And again, not something we're used to, but you know, there were thousands of people outside the stadium. What you'd kind of imagine from an Eastern European fan base or stadium. They were everywhere, flags, fireworks, flares, everything going off. What you'd kind of assume to be a hostile environment. It wasn't particularly, but that was kind of probably the sense that they tried to give off. When we got to the stadium, like, if you can picture an old communist stadium, which is what it was. I mean, small dressing rooms, like the tiniest windows. I can't even remember if the window opened. I think it did. It was just a sweatbox. It was just a real tough environment. And I think we probably thought that it would probably be a factor that it might certainly not suit us. It would definitely suit them more because they were far more used to that, and we weren't used to it at all. Then I suppose getting into the game, I think, you know, we always thought we had a chance. I mean, you'd have a better chance if you can win a home leg. Drawing isn't the worst result, especially when you're losing, but it doesn't help you. Going to a place like Belgrade, needing to win, you know, or get a 2-all draw, 3-all draw, or whatever to go through, would be a tough ask. But I think we had a chance, however small it might have been. But we were prepared for it. We'd be training for weeks, months to play the European games, you know, sometimes to the detriment of our league games because we were playing in a manner and formations that were suited to playing teams that had the ball more, suited to playing more experienced technical teams, which is, I think, what Michael had set out to do in pre-season and certainly at the start of the season. You know, he had done his homework with regards to Partizan, and obviously he shared that with us in the weeks before. Like, we knew who we were playing against, we knew their strengths and their weaknesses, and without that we certainly wouldn't have got the result, irrelevant of what happened on the pitch. The preparation was key, and he was certainly second to none with regards to that. I mean, anything that happened in the game, like good or bad, happened, but the luck that we had as well was a huge factor. I mean, you always need that in football anyway, because teams are going to have chances, good or bad. You're just going to have to accept it and ride them out. You know, we got particularly lucky in 2 games, I think. They had some great chances and missed them. Keeper made great saves, players made great tackles, last ditch tackles, so we really rode our luck with regards to that. But we earned it in a little bit as well. I think in the game itself, it didn't particularly go great the first half. I think we were happy in a way with how we contained them, albeit conceding a goal from a corner. But I think we were fairly comfortable, as comfortable can be in a away situation like that. Getting in at half time, again, like I've had a good few managers over the years, but none that would have the ability of Michael, and how he was able to read a situation tactically, regards to players, and how a game was developing. At half time he made a change. We were 4-5-1 in the game. We're only 1-0 down in the match, so it's not a grave situation, but half time he made a change and we went 4-4-2. That's a particularly brave decision for any manager to make in that situation. I don't think many would, certainly from the underdog team, especially when you're in the game. You could get anything, a penalty, free kick, corner, anything can happen. But I think the change that made to us in the second half was, it wouldn't have happened had that taken place. So we knew we were in the game, and you get any sort of chance, you just have to try and take it, and that's obviously what happened for the first goal. I think we'd known all the scenarios that they would put us in regards to corners. We had seen them, watch tape on them, and we knew that they never left any players up for defensive corners. So myself and Ende would be the two players that would stay back. Got to advance a bit more. We'd be used to, in the League of Ireland, a team leaving one player, if not two, up at times. So you'd always be, a bit more guarded. You'd be a bit further back in the pitch. But we were able to step right up. I think myself, I was just outside the D, outside the box. That would never happen in a usual scenario in a league game. But the pressure, we had them under far more pressure in the second half, and that allowed us to get more corners and set pieces, and that's where the goal came from. A good corner in from Gary, packed the box. It was a good header out from the defender, and just the position I was in the scenario that we had, there was no other choice. It was ball coming out of Sky, wasn't going to take it down, being pressed by defenders, coming out of the box, you just got to hit it. I don't know anyone who wouldn't take a shot on in that scenario. It worked out, so that's a good thing. I wouldn't hesitate to do it again. 99 times out of 100 they're gonna go in the stand, behind the goal, over the bar, whatever. And look, you never know unless you take that chance on. So that is something that I'll remember for a long time. It was certainly the best individual moment that I've ever had. But there was still a game to play after it, and a game that we were well in. At the time, I can't remember how long, probably left half an hour, 20 minutes maybe left in the game. There was still a lot to do. They were still getting chances. And I think probably the second pivotal moment, I think after that, was Stephen O'Donnell probably came on. Because he gave us a bit more energy down in the middle. I can't remember who came off. I think it was Chris Turner, who would ran himself into the ground in the middle because it was a tough shift in there in the heat, and against I think 3 midfielders that they had. So Stevie came on, and we probably all know what happened in extra time, but the bits that helped us get to extra time were some of his tackles in the box at the end of the second half. They were phenomenal, and I think there were 2 chances where they hadn't taken their opportunities up till then, but they were going to take one of those 2, and I think Stevie made 2 last ditch tackles that were just right place, right time, good play, whatever you want to say it, but he was there to make them. So I think that was the next pivotal moment, and then getting to extra time, anything can happen. I think we thoroughly deserved the situations we put ourselves in. So we'd worked on certain patterns of play in preparation for the game, European teams and whatnot, and that's where we got the second goal from, the penalty. We'd worked the ball out from the back. We'd gone across the back four with it a couple of times. That was something that Jim Magilton had worked on with us a lot. And we got the ball to end it, and we got the ball down the channel to Kieran Kilduff. Sheppy won us the penalty. Again, 2 substitutions that were made. 2 strikers had come on, played pivotal roles in the game. 3 substitutes. Kieran Kilduff, Carl Shepherd and Stephen O'Donnell, who then scored the penalty. I think we all knew if we had anyone to choose to probably be in that situation, taking a penalty to hold our nerve, it would have been Stephen, because, not to say he wasn't someone that wouldn't care, but that situation wouldn't bother him, wouldn't matter to him. A penalty taken in front of 30,000 people or a penalty in front of 5 people, it wouldn't matter. And luckily he scored, and we were able to hold out. So it was I suppose an unbelievable scenario, because it's not something that you'd anticipate in your wildest dreams to win in a place like that, in an environment like that, with the aftermath that you'd get qualifying for the group stages. So it was quite a surreal moment. One, I'm, obviously the proudest moment I've ever had in football for sure, and to do it with that group of lads, because they were a great group, a good group of friends, who we'd gone through a lot together that year, and we were going to go through a lot more that year as well. So it was phenomenal. Being able to celebrate with them after was brilliant. Quite a late night because of the extra time, and the later kickoff. So we were able to get out for a few drinks and celebrate. So that was good. But again, like the way it was, there was no quarter given to us that year. I think we got home on the Friday night, because we had to fly through Frankfurt on the way home, and it was a delayed flight. We had arrived home the Friday night, and we had a game Monday evening, I think. So there wasn't too much time to savour it ultimately, but it was something that I'll always remember, and I always think fondly on. So yeah, thanks very much.